welcome back. We are at video number 4, so we are going to get started with the section inserting the sleeve. So this sleeve is for version 1, and so since we're doing version 2, let's move on over to the next steps. So we are going to go ahead and follow the steps. 22 is overlock or zigzag the underarm edges, which is shown here. And again, with the serging and overlocking, I will be doing the French seams. Now, when it gets down to step number 5, it says with wrong sides together, turn the hem up by 1 centimeter and press and stitch in place. Well, I am not doing that. This section, I will be adding the bias binding tape here. And so I have black. So once I get to that section, after I've done this and prepped everything up to this point, I will show you then me adding a clip of me adding the bias binding tape. Okay, so I am now at the point where it says to turn up, fold. I will be adding bias tape. Now my conundrum is if I want the bias tape to show, meaning I would just encase the edges like that all the way around, or if I want to sew it this way, fold it over where then you can't see it, but you know it's there. I don't know. I'm gonna sit here for a second and figure it out. And once I come back, you will see which way I decided. Okay, I have opted to just let the binding show so the edge has a stopping point. I guess I didn't want to flip it over and it kind of look continuous. So that was my rationale. It has a stopping point. And so what I am doing is essentially I'm just butting that edge into the middle. So this is double folded, bias binding tape. And then I'm just folding it over and then just sewing along the edge here. I have one hand, so I can't show me sewing it, but hopefully you can see. Yeah, you can see where that's just right up against the edge there. There we go. That's a better view in the light. So I will do that all the way around, and I will show you what it looks like when it is done. Okay, I am finished with the bias binding around the armhole. I will show you that. Then we're moving on to step number 26, which is then inserting the sleeve. So let me just show you what they look like. Everything is all nice and pressed out. I do like the way that look now. And because I've done it on the sleeve, I will do it on the front facings of the bodice and around the hem, where you'll be able to see the bias tape. So I like the way that looks. It's all nice and pressed down, both sleeves here. And the only thing, which piece was it? So be careful when you're putting this on and you need to connect the ends. I believe it was this one. Somehow I goofed up. You can't really tell because it's under the arm. So always start at a seam, under the arm preferably. So this piece is under the arm, so no one will see this at all. But I did goof a little bit. I don't know if you can, let me see. See how that is? That shouldn't be like that. But that's okay. Like I said, it's underneath. I already showed you my French seams. There's my French seam. Very nice. And yeah, so I am going to go ahead and follow the directions. And because I'm doing French seams, I will be putting wrong sides together first, and then flipping it over, doing the insides. And then I will show you that when it's all done. So make sure you're pressing as you're going. If you're using the bias binding tape, make sure, even if you're not, just make sure you're pressing your seams as you are going along. Okay. Okay, so let me show you here. I've put in the sleeve, pressed it down. Here's my French seam. I will say, if you're doing the French seams, once you get to the armhole, and again, this is my first time doing French seams, so with the armhole, I was just very, very careful because it's circular, so I took off my little piece here so I can go around it slowly, very slowly. And so it looks fine, it looks great. Let me just show you this one piece. The only part that was a mishap for me is, let's see here if I can get this to focus. I guess you can't really tell, but the seam, I didn't line up my seam. I thought I did, and I looked at it like 2-3 times, making sure. But probably, yeah, you can see it now. Probably when I was going around, it shifted. So make sure you have enough pins in. Double check your seams lining up. But once again, I always start at the underarm. And so I'm not terribly upset with this because no one will be able to see it anyway. But I know. But it looks good for my first French seam. Arms, French seams period for this entire dress. It is coming along very well. So again, be mindful and go slowly around those armholes. Now, we are going to move on to joining the skirt and the bodice all the way up to the hem and front, where it says the hem and front edges. So let's first just focus on joining the skirt and the bodice, and I will be back when I have those pinned together and I will show you what it looks like. But we have one more section and then we will be all done. So I will be right back when I join the skirt and the bodice. Okay, so I added a little light here so you can see. But the second underarm, I got the seams lined up perfectly, and the French seam is all done. Everything is pressed. And so now we will be moving to joining the skirt and bodice. I will show you that pinned, and of course I'm doing French seams. And so be mindful. If you are decide to do the French seams versus non doing the French seams, just once again I want to emphasize to be careful. And then we're going to go ahead and press the waistline seam, stitch around the opening, and then the next video we will be wrapping up. We're going to finish up with the hem and front edges all the way to the end, and then we'll have a finished dress. So once I have pinned, and because you're laying out the bottom, the skirt piece is laying out flat, and then you're putting the bodice piece on the front, and you will stitch till you get to both of the openings will line up. You skip over that and then you keep on stitching. And so it does say that in here, and then it'll tell you about pressing the seams open if you decided to do a zigzag stitch or overlock. Again, I'm doing French seams, and then on the outside you will secure that opening. So I will come back when my bodice pieces are together and when I have secured the seam allowance or edge stitch around that opening. Okay, we have finished up joining the skirt and the bodice, and we have now sewn the parts together. Let me show you how mine look. Okay, so here I am. This is hanging. As you can tell, it's hanging on a hanger because we're moving to the last phase, which is hemming, the hem, and also the front edges. So the front edges and then the hem. So what I recommend is that you go ahead and let it hang 24 hours. Allow that skirt piece to drop because that was cut on the bias. So that's what I'm doing. But I just want to show you what the insides look like. French seams are all done. I actually like it. And what I did discover, let me see if I can find a piece. I did discover the Charlie phrase more than I thought it would. It did. And so I'm glad I did the French seams. Just because I wouldn't want those little frayed pieces showing through the, if it just so happened to show through the serger stitches. So this is how it looks. As you can see, I have my tape on here, so I knew what was the front pieces from the back. I can tell the right from wrong sides together, but I want to make sure I didn't mix up my back skirt and front skirt pieces. So there it is. And yeah, you can see how that's fraying at the bottom. So once I get ready to put my bias binding around, I'll trim all those frayed edges first, because again, I'm doing the hem just like I did the sleeve, and I actually do like the way that looks. So go ahead and let her hang overnight, good 24 hours, or maybe not as long, but yeah, let it go ahead and hang overnight. I'm liking the way it's coming along. Everything looks good. Like I said, I wasn't trying to pattern match. I like the flow of the design on here. But yeah, when we come back, it will be the final stages, and we will be starting at step number 31, the hem and the front edges, doing the tie belt. And if you have a turner, let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so if you have a turner, a loop turner, go ahead and get your loop turner, because we'll use that when we do the belt loop, or the belt that attaches to the wrap dress. You'll need to turn it inside out. And so if you have one of these with a little hook, I got mine from Hobby Lobby using a 40% off coupon, or Hobby Lobby has sometimes their, what is this, Sewology, I think the brand is, goes on sale for like 40 or 60% off, something like that. So yeah, go ahead and get your loop turner. If not, you can always use a pin and turn it inside out and run it through that way. But yeah, grab your loop turner. Let's get ready to knock her out. The next video will be the last video, and at the end of that video, I'll show you the my dress, a picture of me in my dress. All right, everybody, you have a blessed day, and we will see you in the final video, which will be up. Today is Sunday. It will be up on Wednesday. All right, everybody, have a great week. Bye.